Have you ever wondered why two people can live in the same world yet experience two completely different lives? The same rain falls, and one person sees inconvenience, while another feels the gentleness of nature. The same difficulty appears, and one person sees it as a sign of misfortune, while another sees an opportunity for growth. The same life contains joy, loss, ups and downs, and change, yet one person constantly feels deprived, while another finds gratitude even in the most ordinary things. What creates that difference? Most of us believe that happiness depends on circumstances. We think that if we had more money, more time, more opportunities, or fewer problems, life would become better. We spend years pursuing external things in the hope that one day our souls will find peace. Yet reality often reveals something different. There are people who possess a great deal and still feel restless. There are people who do not have everything they desire and yet live with a gentle and peaceful inner world. According to Buddhist wisdom, what determines the quality of life is not what happens to us, but how the mind perceives what is happening. The outer world may be the same, but the inner world of each person is entirely different. It is that inner world that creates suffering or peace, despair or hope, dissatisfaction or gratitude. A person can go through an entire lifetime seeing only what is missing. They look at a garden full of flowers and notice only a few withered leaves. They look at the good things already present, yet the mind continuously searches for what is not perfect. No matter how much they achieve, they still feel it is not enough. No matter how many gifts life offers, they still feel as though something is missing. This is not because they are negative people. This is simply how an untrained mind operates. From a survival perspective, the human brain is designed to pay more attention to danger and to joy. Our ancestors had to constantly watch for threats in order to survive. As a result, the mind naturally focuses on flaws, potential risks, and things that might go wrong. In the modern world, that instinct remains intact. Even when there are no predators or immediate dangers, the mind continues searching for reasons to worry. It reminds you of failures from the past. It exaggerates difficulties in the present. It imagines problems in the future. And then, day after day, you begin to believe that life is mainly a series of things that need fixing, problems that need solving, and worries that must be carried. But if you look more deeply, you will discover a truth worth reflecting upon. Life has never contained only suffering. Even during the most difficult days, moments of peace still exist. Even in the most exhausting times, there are things worth being grateful for. Even in the darkest periods, small rays of light quietly appear. The problem is that the mind is often not trained to notice them. Imagine walking into a large room filled with hundreds of different objects. If someone asks you to find only black objects, within a few minutes you will notice countless black items. But if you are then asked how many white objects are in the room, you may not be able to answer, even though they were there all along. Life works in much the same way. Whatever the mind is trained to seek gradually becomes its experience. If you constantly search for lack, you will find lack everywhere. If you constantly search for offense, you will feel hurt by many things. If you constantly search for reasons to be dissatisfied, life will always provide something to disappoint you. But if the mind is trained to recognize what is good, those good things will gradually become more visible in everyday experience. This does not mean denying difficulties or pretending that everything is perfect. Buddhist wisdom does not teach people to escape reality. On the contrary, it teaches us to see reality more completely. It means seeing both darkness and light, seeing both loss and what still remains, seeing pain without forgetting the blessings that are present. Because the truth is that no one has a completely perfect life, but no one has a life completely devoid of goodness either. Amid everyday worries, we forget that we are still breathing. Amid goals we have not yet achieved, we forget what we already have. Amid desires for the future, we forget the gifts of the present. Some people spend their entire lives chasing happiness without realizing that they walk past it every day. They wait for a special moment in the future in order to find peace, while that peace has always been quietly present in every breath, every ray of morning sunlight, every simple encounter, and every moment of awareness. The Buddha pointed out that the mind is like a garden. If it is not cared for, weeds will grow on their own. Negative thoughts, fears, and dissatisfaction are the same. They do not need an invitation to appear. Flowers are different. Flowers must be planted, nurtured, and cared for through awareness. Seeing the good in life is not an inborn ability possessed only by a fortunate few. It is a skill that can be cultivated. It is an art of living, and it is one of the most precious gifts a person can give to themselves, because the moment the mind learns to recognize beauty among ordinary things, learns gratitude instead of constant demands, learns to see the light without denying the darkness, life does not necessarily have to change for you to feel happier. The way you see life begins to change, and when that happens, you will discover that goodness was never far away. It has always been there, quietly present in each day, simply waiting for a mind awake enough to notice it. When looking back on our lives, perhaps each of us will recognize a strange truth. The things that cause us the most suffering are not always what happened, but often how we look at what happened. Two people can go through the same event, yet one becomes bitter, while the other becomes wiser. Two people can face the same difficulty, yet one sees only a dead end, while the other finds an opportunity for growth. This shows that life is not shaped only by circumstances. It is also shaped by the eyes through which we view those circumstances. Buddhism has long pointed out that the mind is the creator of the world. This does not mean that the mind creates the sun, the mountains, or the rivers. It means that the mind creates our experience of all those things. The world each person lives in is not entirely the same because each person sees it through their own lens. One person walks into a forest and feels the beauty of nature. Another enters the same forest, but notices only the difficult paths. One person sees a new day as a gift. Another sees it as a burden to get through. For many years, we have often been taught how to change the outer world, but rarely how to care for the inner world. We learn how to make money, how to achieve success, how to compete and move ahead, but very few people are taught how to observe their minds, how to recognize the patterns of thought that silently shape their entire lives. If you observe carefully, you will notice that the mind has a very particular habit. It often focuses more on what is wrong than on what is right. One criticism can occupy our thoughts for days, while 10 compliments are quickly forgotten. A small failure can overshadow a long list of previous successes. A single problem can make us forget the countless good things that are still present in our lives. That is not your fault. It is a tendency that has existed within human consciousness for a very long time. But if we do not recognize it, we will spend our entire lives being led by it. We will constantly feel deprived even when we have much. We will always wait for a better future without realizing that life is unfolding right here in the present. There was a man who spent his entire life searching for happiness. He believed happiness was in success, so he threw himself into his work. When he achieved success, he thought happiness was in recognition. When he gained recognition, he thought happiness was in complete security. But the more he pursued it, the emptier he felt. Happiness is like the horizon. If you search for it ahead of you, it will always move one step farther away. What Buddhist wisdom seeks to point out is that happiness is not something to be found. It is something to be recognized. It is not at the end of the journey. It is in the way we walk the journey itself. Try to remember one of the most peaceful moments of your life. Perhaps it was not when you were the wealthiest, not when you were the most successful. Perhaps it was simply a quiet morning when sunlight gently streamed through a window. Perhaps it was sitting beside a loved one. Perhaps it was listening to the rain on a peaceful afternoon. Those moments are often very simple. They do not require perfection. They require only presence. But the mind rarely wants what is simple. It always wants more. It always says, not enough. When it has one thing, it wants another. When it reaches one goal, it immediately creates the next. Therefore, if it is not trained, the mind will turn life into a race with no finish line. The sad thing is that while racing, we miss so many beautiful things. We miss the sound of birds singing in the morning. We miss the smile of a stranger. We miss the feeling of gratitude for still being able to breathe, to live, and to experience this world. We become so busy with what we do not have that we no longer see what we do have. That is why training the mind to see the good is not an act of naivety or blind optimism. It is an awakening. It is the act of bringing awareness back into balance, not denying the darkness, but also not allowing the darkness to cover the entire sky. When a person begins to practice this, their life does not necessarily change immediately. Challenges still come, losses still occur, difficult days still exist, but something inside begins to change. They are no longer swept away by every fluctuation as before. They begin to realize that even in the most difficult periods, there is always something to learn, something to grow from, and something to be grateful for. Gradually, they come to understand that life is not a test of whether everything is perfect. It is an opportunity to awaken to the beauty that is present in every moment. And when the mind is trained in this direction, the world begins to open up in a completely different way. The sky is still the same sky, but now they see more light within it. Life is still the same life, but now they experience more meaning within it. Ordinary things still happen every day, but they're no longer ordinary. They become reminders that happiness has never been far away. It has always been here, in the present moment itself, waiting for a mind quiet enough to recognize it. In the end, after everything we have reflected upon, perhaps the most important thing is not how many good things life contains, but whether we are aware enough to see them. Because the truth is that this world has always contained both light and darkness. Within the same day, there can be joy and sorrow. Within the same life, there can be success and failure, meetings and farewells. gains and losses. No one can choose to receive only pleasant things and reject every challenge. That is not how life works. But what each person can always choose is where to place their attention. If someone spends their entire life looking at what they have lost, they will feel that life is a series of deficiencies. If someone focuses only on their mistakes, they will live with guilt and self-blame. If someone constantly compares themselves to others, they will always feel behind, inferior, or not enough. Gradually, they no longer see life as it truly is. They see life through the veil of dissatisfaction. And the saddest part is that when this happens, even the greatest gifts of life become invisible. A person may possess good health, but notice only the imperfections in their body. A person may have a loving family yet focus only on minor differences. A person may live in peace but still feel unhappy because of what they have not achieved. They are like someone standing in a garden full of flowers while looking only for withered leaves. According to Buddhist wisdom, this is not the fault of life. It is the habit of an untrained mind. The mind is like water. Without direction, it flows along old paths. It returns to familiar worries, familiar painful memories, and familiar negative thoughts. Over time, those pathways become the places the mind naturally returns to. That is why learning to see the good in life is not something that happens in a single day. It is a process. It is like tending a garden. You cannot plant seeds today and expect to see an entire field of flowers tomorrow. Everything takes time. Everything requires patience. Each time you choose gratitude instead of complaint, a seed is planted. Each time you see a lesson in difficulty instead of seeing only unfairness, another seed is planted. Each time you pause to appreciate the beauty of an ordinary moment, yet another seed is planted. At first, you may not notice any change. Life still appears the same. Problems still exist. Pressures are still present, but little by little, something begins to change within. You become gentler. You react less, you appreciate more. You begin to realize that many things that once caused you suffering were not worth carrying for so long. You understand that happiness is not something that appears only when everything becomes perfect. Happiness can be found right in the middle of imperfection, a quiet morning, a deep breath, a warm cup of tea, a sincere conversation, a ray of sunlight at the end of the day, a moment of realizing that you are still here, still alive, still able to love and grow. At first glance, these things may seem very small, yet it is precisely these small things that make up most of life. The strange thing is that people often sacrifice the simple joys of the present while chasing some great happiness in the future. We tell ourselves that we will be happy when we reach the next goal, when we earn more money, when everything becomes more stable, when life becomes less difficult. But the future keeps moving, and if we do not learn to see the beauty of the present, we may spend our entire lives feeling as though we are waiting for something. Buddhism teaches that peace is not at the end of the path, it is within every step. Contentment does not appear when the world satisfies all of our desires. It appears when we stop demanding that the world be different before allowing ourselves to be happy. This does not mean giving up dreams or stopping personal growth. It simply means that you no longer place all of your happiness in things that have not yet happened. You continue moving forward, but no longer live with a sense of lack. You continue making an effort, but are no longer driven by dissatisfaction. You continue pursuing goals, but do not sacrifice the peace of the present moment. It is a completely different way of living, a way of living in which you begin to look at life through the eyes of gratitude rather than through the eyes of deficiency. You begin to realize that every person you meet can teach you something. Every difficulty can help you grow. Every failure can become a lesson. Every day carries a gift within it, even if that gift is sometimes disguised as a challenge. When looking back on life, the wisest people often do not remember much about what they owned. They remember the moments when they truly lived, the moments when they felt connected to life, the times when they loved sincerely, the times when they forgave, the times when they sat quietly and felt the simple beauty of being alive. Because in the end, life is not measured by the number of years that have passed, nor by the achievements piled up in memory. It is measured by the degree of our presence in each moment. One person may live for 80 years, yet spend most of that time trapped in worries about the future or regrets about the past. Another person may live fewer years, but be truly present in every day. Who has lived more? Perhaps the answer lies in the quality of attention, because wherever attention goes, life is experienced there. If attention is always directed toward the negative, life becomes a burden. If attention knows how to rest upon what is precious, life becomes a quiet miracle. And perhaps that is the deepest lesson of all. You do not need a perfect life in order to feel happy. You do not need to wait for every problem to disappear. You do not need